I got the horse right here.
Hello, racing fans, and welcome back to another edition of Handicappers Corner, brought to you by the Derby Bar and Grill. I'm Mike Heads. I'm with Drew Forster. We're going to go through the Hastings races on May the 21st, as well as, of course, the Preakness, second jewel, the Triple Crown. It's going to be a great Saturday for all horse racing fans.
Undefeated Nyquist with Mario Gutierrez aboard. Actually, Mario is undefeated in Triple Crown races. He's only rode 3 of them. He's won all of them. He goes for a perfect 4 for 4, and of course, Nyquist going for a perfect 9 for 9. I think he does it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a fun day. It's nice to see Fernando Perez in the race as well. Two of our former top jocks here at Hastings, Mario Gutierrez and Fernando Perez, showing up in the Preakness, the second jewel of the Triple Crown. So cool. Anyway, let's get into the Hastings races. The Saturday card begins at 1:50, which will feature 6 horses in the Saturday opener. $4,000 claimers going 6.5 furlongs. I ended up on the 1, Ambidextrous Duke. Kind of a big fan of John Morrison and the way he does things. He does a great job with his small stable. London is your horse to beat, definitely. But Ambidextrous Duke has some really nice races. I know you got to go back to 2014 to get them, but I mean, he closed out 2014 with a win in 16 and change for non-2-4, and then jumped up to non-3-16, winning 16 and change again, showing he can sprint in some serious good time. Last year, he had to start off up high, and he suffered from starting so high instead of starting low like he is this year. But I mean, you look through the season, he finally won a race and got disqualified, but or actually got moved up, pardon me, in his final start last year, going a mile and 16. He's been working well. I just think he's a horse that can maybe upset London, who will be your favorite, who's had some chances. Obviously didn't get the best of trips last time. Smoking Joey was miles the best, and this horse had to settle for an unplaced effort, but he is in easier. And I put the 2-horse Jordan's Quest, who has some speed. He had to battle on the head end with some tough horses as well. Mind you, not as tough as London's, but I'm going to give this horse a shot just because of his speed. I went 1, 4, and 2.
I didn't put Ambidextrous Duke in there. I went with one you didn't mention. This is the moment. Mike Anderson's going great guns, and Richard Hamill setting the world on fire. He's batting 37%. I think there's enough speed in here with Ambidextrous Duke, with Jordan's Quest, with Swiss Arrogant. I think there's enough speed in here that this is the moment gets first crack at him. I was disappointed in London's run last time. I thought he was going to put forward a better effort, so that kind of threw me off him a little bit. I went with this is a moment on top of London, and I put Swiss Arrogant, who's put together 2 really strong efforts to start off this year, and he looks to be the fittest of the speed horses. I see him hanging around the longest, but I do see a bit of gas in here, so I went with the 3. This is the moment. I went 3, 4, 5 in the first. On to the second, nice little maiden $25,000 event, going 6.5 for it. 3-year-olds and up. Actually, for 3-year-olds, as no older horses did enter in this race. This is a race I had some trouble with. Tried to make a really good case for Omega Victory. I thought it had a really good effort the first time against BC Charlie, but I landed on a first-time starter, Colterberry, out of the Mark Cloutier barn. Mark's having a very strong meet. Him and Reyes are teaming up at a very good clip. And this guy's got good works. A nice gate work. I just think he can fire at first asking, so I put him on top of Sunset Drive, who's dropping up a very tough maiden special weight. He will appreciate the class relief here. Richard Hamill aboard him, as I mentioned. Richard going great guns right now. I put Sunset Drive in the 3rd spot, and Omega Victory, who should bounce back off that strong effort last time and put forward another good effort. You're going to have to catch him. He is the quickest one in the race. I went 1, 3, and 6.
Yeah, I agree with the 3 Sunset Drive. I just think this horse is coming out of the tough race. I want anyone coming out of a maiden special weight dropping into a 25. Those 25s haven't been all that tough, and I think Sunset Drive is going to be awfully tough. I know he was weaving his way in and out of traffic last time, was never really in the race, but they ran pretty fast, and it was just his first race of the year. So I'm going to try him. Put Sanawar in the 2nd spot. He had a good first up run against Crazy Prophet, who went on to be a pretty nice colt, and he's already gone on to win a stake race this year. Good as they get, who's come back to win. And Sunscape was another next out winner. Then there was an inquiry in his next race. He was fouled pretty badly, but there was no change. But he ended up running poorly in his final start last year. He's been working well, or he's had a long string of works anyway. I think he's nicely spotted at the 25,000 maiden level. He's dropping as well. I put the 1-horse Colterberry. I agree with your top pick. A horse out of Badge's Star, who's got to be, you think this horse will be able to run. And but still a debut runner that gets the rail, it's a little disadvantageous. But I went 3, 5, and 1 in race number 2. On to the third race. Got some $16,000 older horses. Good group here, going 6.5 furlongs. I love the Forest and Milkameen Joey. He's a nice horse. He cruised to an easy win against $8,000 claimers. Made it look pretty easy. I don't see any speed in here to go with him. After the Conflict has speed, but he's not 22 flat speed like Milkameen Joey is. They rated him last time. He had a nice 23.46. It was a very comfortable tempo for after the Conflict. And I just think Joey's going to get an easy lead, and if he does, or at least even if he gets pressured, he's still good enough to keep running on. He's a nice little horse. So I put him in the winner's circle. I put the 7 Burnham, who was very, very good in his return to Hastings. Easily bested a group of 12-5 claimers. This is a tougher race. At the Ritz is not in here, and every night's a blur. So this race did come up tougher, but Burnham looked really good winning. He looked like a $40,000 horse again. Wouldn't be surprised to see him be a real threat. I put the 2 Senor Rojo, the old boy, in for third. He rolled up to get the show spot last time. I think he'll do the same. But I like Milkameen Joey a lot.
I did go with Burnham in here. Like you say, I don't know if After the Conflict can keep up with Joey, but if he does, it sets up for a horse like Burnham and a monster effort last time. He got an 81 buyer last time, cruising to a 5-length victory.
Yep, no, it was a big number.
In a 12-5. It wasn't an overly tough 12-5, but he absolutely demolished the field. Mike Anderson's going great guns right now. I put Burnham on top of Senor Rojo. Big step forward in his second race off his first race. He ran really flat his first race, ran a much improved race in his second start. I could see him moving forward there. And I put After the Conflict in the third spot, Patty Leaney, firing on all cylinders right now. Do not leave her out of any tickets. And Richard Hamill stays aboard number 5 After the Conflict. I went 7, 2, and 5, and a nice little $16,000 claimer. On to the fourth, 62.50. 4 older colts and geldings, 8 horses lined up here. It's another one I had some trouble with. I did go with Mike Anderson again, Indy Racer, a horse that he claimed out of Turf Paradise. His horses that he's brought up from Turf Paradise are running very good, like Burnham. Kind of a mixed bag here. I just think fresh horse. He ran in April. He's had a month off. He's been training good for this. Mike Anderson on top with Indy Racer. I put O'Derrick taking a big drop down. Took a big drop down to the 12-5 level last time. That was against Open Company. Excuse me, like After the Conflict, Lauren 500. This is a lot softer bunch as he works his way down. He's got to be respected in here. And I put After the Court in the third spot. Looks like there is some speed in here, and he'll come running. Big effort last time. In a 4 non-winners of the year, this is the next logical step for him, but he crushed that field, winning by almost 4. Hall of Fame trainer Frank Barabee. 7, 5, and 4 for me.
Yeah, I got the same horses, Drew. I like Indy Racer. I don't love the horse, but I think he's in a good spot. He's never run a Hastings, so you can't absolutely say this horse is going to win because you don't know. He's never been here. Been running on mile racetracks throughout his career, but still, he's nicely spotted, worked well. You know, it looks like he's adapted nicely, but still has to do it on the racetrack. So, but I do like Indy Racer. O'Derrick, I agree on the class drop. That was a pretty good race against After the Conflict. Wasn't the toughest 12-5 though, I put him in for second, and my old Aftercourt, who I liked last time, for 4, is stepping up to 62.50. I think he'll be dangerous again. I can see him winning. He's all right Aftercourt. I think you need 3 horses in here. I went 7, 5, and 4. In the fourth, on to the 5th race. $8,000 conditional claimers, non-winners of 2, non-winners of 3, BC bred, 6.5 is the distance, and I went to the 1 Shoe Swap, big drop for the 4-year-old, and it's been working quite nicely for the Gilkers and owner Teddy Smith. And Dennis Arrojo rides. This horse has been running against way better horses. I think he's got to be awfully tough. I don't see speed in here. Who's going to go with him? So Luke shows speed, but he's not going to go crazy. He hasn't been able to last in his races. Other than that, there's not much to see for speed. So I think Shoe Swap gets the lead, but I just think he's a better horse anyway. So I'm going to try him to win it, Forestry's Devil, and lead the pack with the next best for me. Not in love with either one of them, but somebody had to run second behind Crackdown. Forestry's Devil did. We'll get over bet because of that.
Yeah.
And when you look on the other side, just beat Strangely Arousing, who's back in for 4. But I don't know, just not a horse I like or love. I mean, this horse has too much bad form to jump on him after 1 second place effort to Crackdown. But lead the pack interests me a little more maybe. But 156.
I did like the second to Crackdown enough to bet him. I put him on top. Crackdown jumps up, wins for 35, and his stablemate, and just Patty Leaney right now is making all the right moves. She's 7 for 14, winning them in bunches.
Yep.
And not an overly tough race. Shuswap I have in there, but he's a question mark for me because he's making his first start of the year. Why is he in for 8,000? So I put Forestry Devil on top of Samilkameen Luke. Claimed last time, and Rod Terrace having a very good meet. He's 3 for 4. So I put Samilkameen Luke in the second spot, and Shuswap I did put in the third spot, but I could see him winning. I mean, look at who he's ran
He'll
against.
win by 5.
And
If he runs, he'll win by 5.
Yeah,
It won't
exactly.
be close. Well, maybe not by 5.
Just scares me off a little the fact that he is in for 8,000 and the works are just okay. So I put him in the third spot. 5, 4, and 1 for me. In the fifth, on to the sixth. Nice little allowance race for Fillies Mares, optional 50.
Nice, like a steak.
It's a 2-horse race for me. It's Sailing for the Sun or Morning Coffee. I did put Sailing for the Sun on top. As I mentioned, Richard Hamill just on fire. Very nice mare here. Looked really impressive breaking her maiden. Then threw in 2 clunkers, one here and one at Emerald Downs. But since then, she's been going great guns with a second behind Quattrocat and a second behind Morning Coffee, and an impressive win in the sales stake last year on the head end, battling the whole way and fighting off Quattrocat, and then opened up this year, wins by almost 5. I'm going with Sailing for the Sun. Morning Coffee disappointed me last time, never really looked comfortable, and just ran a very flat race last time on the 17th of April against Avadiva and Quattrocat in the Brighouse Bells. But she worked super impressively coming into this. It doesn't show on here, but she worked in 58 the other day. I'm going, or it was at the 45 and 3, out in 58, sorry. So she's working very well. Dennis Arojo worked it the other day. So I put her in the second spot. And I threw Susan Stay in the mix in the third spot. Dave Forster put her in a stake. She lost her irons, so just tossed that race out and go back to her form last year. And she's a decent little filly. But I think it's between Sailing for the Sun and Morning Coffee. I threw Susan Stay in the third spot. I went 5, 3, and 2.
I love Sailing for the Sun is a single for me. And she's a nice mare. She's a stake filly. She'll be battling with Arabella's Muse soon, and Touching Promise, and Avadi, probably Arabella's Muse and Touching Promise. But Sailing for the Sun is a really nice filly that I think she's going to be awfully tough. I agree with the 3 Morning Coffee to be in the mix, but I did put Oli's Miss in for second. She's been training well. I've seen her train. She's looking, very. Got better weight than she had last year. She looked like a filly that was stressed, wasn't happy, was running poor races.
She had the 4-year-old blues.
It's tough when you're just, you're the boss in those 3-year-old races, and you get against older mares, and you're not, and you just, things go off the rails condition-wise and everything. And but anyway, she's looking great. I think don't forget about Oli's Miss. She's going nice for Mark Clucci, who's also having a great season. And I put the 3 Morning Coffee in for third. Nice work in 45. But I do love Sailing for the Sun. 5.3.
Me too.
Seventh and final. Got some fillies and mares here. 4,000 claimers going 6.5 furlongs. Ended up on the 6-horse Rachel Run. There's your horse to beat. Battle on the head end last time. Did lose to Shayla's Rose, who was on a 3-race winning streak. Now has a 4-race winning streak. But Rachel Run's your horse. I put the 3 Farniente for Craig McPherson. Narrow loser last year to Cute Little Vixen. I put Cute Little Vixen in the third spot. I went 6, 3, and 4. I just think Rachel Run's your horse. Farniente's been working well and has some back class. I know she ran for $4,000 a lot last year, but she still fits here. Cute Little Vixen ran into a pretty tough, Pretty Reckless, who came back to win for 16.
Yeah.
She was in against some tough mares, Flare Miss, and this is a lot easier for Cute Little Vixen.
Yeah.
I think she's in play big time. I went 6, 3, 4.
I did land on the 6 too. I think Rachel Run is the boss in here. She gets the lead. You're going to have to pass her to win it. I like Rachel Run. I put her on top. I put CA Miss in the second spot. 2 good outs so far this year. A second behind I Dig That, who has since come back to win. And Shayla's Rose. Only got beat 2 lengths last time by Rachel Run for second.
Yep.
Shayla's Rose is on a hot streak as well. So I put CA Miss in the second spot. And I put Honey Skill in the third spot. She comes out of that same Perfectly Reckless race. Only got beat a half a length by Flare Miss, who came back with a good second the other day. So I put Honey Skillet. Threw her in the third spot under Scott Williams. I went 6, 5, and 7. That'll do it for our analysis of the Saturday Preakness Day card at Hastings. Up next on screen will be our picks. Mike, as always, you're up first.
The recap. Back in race number 1, I went to the 1. Ambidextrous Duke, 1-4-2. Back in race number 2, I went to the 3. Sunset Drive, 3-5-1. In the Saturday second race number 3, number 4, Samilkameen Joe. We like him to double up over the 7 Burnham. But yeah, you need them both, 4 and 7. But I went 4-7-2. Race number 4, I went to the 7 Indy Racer. Didn't like this race at all. I went 7-5-4, but there's a lot of chances in race number 4. The 5th race, I like the 1, Shoe Swap. He's either first or last. Shoe Swap for me to win it over the 5, Forest Juice Devil, and the 6 lead the pack. 6th race, probably the best bet of the day, number 5, Sailing for the Sun for me.
Yeah.
I went 5-1-3. In the 7th and final, I went to the 6, Rachel Run, over the 3, Farniente, and the 4, Cute Little Vixen.
Up next will be my picks. There we go. In the first, I went to the 3, This Is the Moment, over the 4 and the 5. In the second, I went to the 1, First-Time Starter, Colcherberry, over the 3 and the 6. In the third, I went to number 7, Burnham, over the 2 and the 5. In the fourth, I went to the 7, Indy Racer, over the 5 and the 4. In the 5th, I went to the 5, Forestry's Devil, over the 4 and the 1. In the 6th, I agree with Mike. Sailing for the Sun looks to be a handful in here, over the 3, Morning Coffee, and the 2, Susan's Day. And in the nightcap, I went to the 6, Rachel Run, over the 5 and the 7. And of course, as
there is one other pretty big race. There's a lot of big races, but there's one other kind of race that you might want to watch.
A lot of good races.
The 141st running of the Preakness.
The Preakness is obviously the one that everybody's got their eyes on. Mario Gutierrez and Nyquist going for the second leg of the Triple Crown. How exciting would that be if he can win this and go into Belmont live for the Triple Crown, which we did see the drought end last year, 37-year drought end with American Pharoah. And I just think Nyquist is going to win this race. He's going for 9 for 9 now. He's never been beat. Yeah, Exaggerated was coming to him in the Derby, but would he have ever let him by?
Probably not.
I don't think so. I just think this horse is too good. I think he's head and shoulders better than everybody else. He would be a single on the Preakness Day card for me. I'm taking him on top. I've Exaggerated, who ran a big race, closed a lot of ground. He keeps running second to Nyquist, but Nyquist is in a class by himself. And I put local owner and breeder John Gunther with Stradivari in the third spot. Impressive, just that first race, he ran 4th, beaten 8, came back to break his maiden by 11 at Gulfstream Park before demolishing a first condition allowance field at Keeneland by 15. Ultra impressive. But he jumps in, the waters are a lot deeper here than a first condition allowance at Keeneland.
It's a tough non-2 other than.
Yeah, it sure is. He gets into the deep end of the pool here. Nyquist for me over Exaggerator and Stradivari, but Nyquist will win.
I like Nyquist. I think he's your horse. This is a tough. This race drew tougher than I thought it would. This race has some silly annoyances in the race. There's some speed in here, which could wreck the party a little bit for Nyquist, but I think he's versatile enough.
Well, Fernando Perez on Uncle Lino.
Well, there's a couple other ones on the outside that are going to be annoyances. They're speed horses, and they're going to help Exaggerator. I'm picking Nyquist. Nyquist's the best horse. Exaggerator is second best horse by a mile, but sometimes the second best horse wins because the best horse gets annoyed enough on the head end and just gets, you'll have to, I'm hoping Mario's so good at sitting still and
positioning and
just
patience.
Just being relying on his horses to be himself and not getting in his way. If he's laying 4th, fine. If he's on the lead, fine. Mario can adapt so well. That's why he wins these big races. That's why he's undefeated in big races.
Big races. He gets a lot of it's positioning. He always gets a good spot.
And I agree with the John Gunther horse, Stradivari, who's got a lot of potential. I know he's winning by double-digit lengths in his races, but still, this is gets tested for class against Nyquist and Exaggerator. But 3-5, I agree. 3-5-11 for me in the Preakness. Next up on screen will be a quick look at our. There we go. There's Mike's picks. 3-5-11. Drew and I agree.
Yeah. We'll switch over to mine. No change.
Nothing extravagant with these picks. But it's going to be a great afternoon watching the 141st running of the Preakness Stakes, as well as our 7 races at Hastings Racecourse. On behalf of Drew, thanks everyone for tuning in. Hopefully we've given you a little bit of insight into our card. Hopefully some good insight. And we've given you insight.
We'll get you a few winners,
good stuff. Hopefully we get you cashing some tickets. On behalf of Drew, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time here on Handicappers Corner.